Jungkook couldn't sing as Jimin stared at him from under the stage, his hands shaking, his tears falling in the middle of the concert. He knows. The words hit Jungkook's chest like a hammer just as the spotlight flared. The roar of the crowd was deafening, but to Jungkook it was only white noise. His ears rang with something else, Jimin's voice, soft and broken, echoing from earlier that night. His throat tightened. He stood frozen at center stage, mic gripped in a trembling hand. A single piano note hung in the air, waiting for him to sing. He couldn't. His lips parted, but no sound emerged. Beneath the stage, hidden in the shadows behind thick black curtains, Jimin crouched, clutching his earpiece like it could anchor him to the ground. His knuckles were white. His eyes shimmered, glazed over with unshed tears until they finally spilled. He didn't wipe them. He didn't move. He just stared up at Jungkook, his whole body shaking. He hadn't meant for Jungkook to see him, but he had. Jungkook's breath hitched as their eyes met through the grating of the stage floor. Everything slowed. The choreographers stood stunned. The instrumental faltered for just a beat before continuing like a ghost track, trying to cover the unraveling disaster. They had been trained for every kind of mishap, mic failure, wardrobe tears, missed cues. But nothing prepared them for betrayal bleeding across a stadium stage. Jungkook's voice, the very soul of the performance, had fled. "Sing," someone hissed into the in-ear monitor. It was Namjoon's voice, sharp, commanding. "Jungkook, we're live." He couldn't answer. He could barely breathe. He blinked, once, twice. The crowd was starting to stir, their cheers dimming into confusion. Phones were raised. Cameras zoomed in. The world was watching him fall apart in real time. It wasn't the song. It wasn't the pressure. It was Jimin. Or rather, the truth Jimin carried like a blade beneath his ribs. Something Jungkook hadn't known until seconds ago, when Jimin looked up with that expression, anguished, guilty, pleading. Then Jungkook remembered. The voicemail. Last night. 2:13 a.m. "Don't hate me, please. I didn't mean for it to go this far." His fingers went numb now, even as he clung to the microphone. He was no longer standing on stage. In his mind, he was back in the dark hallway of the hotel, replaying that voice message over and over until the battery died. He had thought it was a misunderstanding, a dream. But Jimin's face under the stage, streaked with tears, confirmed everything. The crowd was starting to clap uncertainly, some chanting his name. "Jungkook, Jungkook," others were whispering. The press pit cameras flashed like rapid lightning. Taehyung was the first to move. He stepped closer, gently placing a hand on Jungkook's back. "Hey, look at me." His voice was soft, laced with concern. "You don't have to do this." But Jungkook couldn't look away from Jimin. The lights made it difficult, but he still saw him, his silhouette trembling like a secret finally exposed. The boy he trusted with every inch of his soul, now the reason it was cracking open. Jungkook didn't know when he dropped the mic. It landed with a metallic thud that echoed through the silence like a gunshot. The audience gasped. Security moved. The manager spoke into comms. The stage director barked orders. Jungkook walked off the stage. And Jimin. He crumbled to the floor as the lights faded to black. Backstage chaos was unfolding like a wildfire. The production crew scrambled, headsets buzzing, managers shouting over one another, dancers frozen mid-step, unsure whether the show was still on or already burned to the ground. Somewhere, fans screamed in confusion, others in worry. Some were crying, some were filming. Jungkook didn't care. He pushed past everyone. His jacket was slipping off his shoulders, his chest heaving. Sweat clung to his skin, but he felt cold. Everything felt cold. The fluorescent backstage lighting flickered like a bad omen, and every step echoed too loudly in his ears. "Jungkook, wait." Taehyung's voice chased after him, fast and breathless. Jungkook didn't stop. He didn't stop until he found the hallway near the dressing rooms, empty, quiet, except for the heavy door that slammed shut behind him. He leaned against the wall, his hand gripping the edge of a makeup table, knuckles white, jaw clenched. The mirror across him reflected a stranger, eyes wide, face pale, rage trembling just beneath the surface. Then came the footsteps. Soft, hesitant, familiar. Don't! Jungkook didn't even look up. Jimin froze in the doorway, his breath catching like it hurt just to inhale. Please, he whispered. Jungkook turned slowly, eyes meeting his like fire meeting ice. Say it. Jimin flinched. Jungkook. No, Jungkook's voice rose, rough and cracked. Say it, tell me it's not true. Say you didn't lie to me. Say you didn't. He stepped forward, voice shaking now. Go behind my back with him. Jimin's lips parted, but no sound came out. He looked small in the oversized hoodie, drowned in shame. His eyes glistened with fresh tears, but he didn't cry. Not yet. You said it was nothing, Jungkook said bitterly. You swore it was nothing, that you and Yoongi. It was nothing, Jimin interrupted, voice trembling. At first. Jungkook's body went rigid. Jimin continued, barely above a whisper. It happened once, a moment. I was drunk. He was there. It didn't mean anything, I swear to God, Jungkook. You swear to God, Jungkook laughed, dry and bitter. You're standing here in tears and you're still lying. Don't bring God into this. He left the room the same time you did. Silence hung like a noose between them. Jimin stepped forward slowly. I didn't know how to tell you. I wanted to so many times. But then things got better between us and I thought, if I said anything, I'd lose you. You already did. The words hit harder than any scream could. Jimin stumbled back like he'd been struck. Jungkook paced, fingers running through his damp hair, 1,000 thoughts spiraling. You were with me, every day, every night, saying you loved me while knowing what you'd done. How could you look me in the eye? I was scared. Of what? Jungkook snapped. That I'd hate you. Yes, Jimin shouted, finally breaking. Because I hate myself. The confession exploded into the room, raw and jagged. Jungkook froze. Jimin's voice cracked, knees buckling as he sank against the wall, hands covering his face. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was broken, Jungkook, after the tour last year, after the rumors. After the panic attacks, the hospital visits, the silence, you were there but you weren't. And I was gone. I didn't even feel real. He just listened. Jungkook stared at him, heart pounding, vision blurring. So you rewarded him with your body. Jimin sobbed. Don't say it like that. How else am I supposed to say it? Jungkook's voice cracked, thick with fury. You didn't just lie to me. You made me sing love songs about you while you carried a secret like a ticking bomb. He looked down at his hands, shaking again. I walked on stage tonight ready to give them everything. I trusted you'd be watching me, supporting me. I was watching, Jimin said between sobs, and I wanted to die for what I'd done. They both stood in silence for a long moment, two broken pieces of something once beautiful. Jungkook finally sat on the edge of the couch, burying his face in his hands. Why didn't you tell me before tonight? Because last night, I found out it wasn't just once. That made Jungkook look up, sharp, cold. What? Jimin's lips trembled. He told me that it happened again. I was blackout drunk. I didn't even remember, but he did. And he made it sound like I wanted it, like I needed him. Jungkook's fists clenched. Did you? No, Jimin whispered. Not like that, never like that. A knock came at the door, then another, urgent now. Jungkook, Jimin, we need you both. It's spiraling. The hashtag is trending. The show is off. Reporters are here. Neither of them moved. Jungkook looked back at Jimin. Do the others know? No, just Yoongi. Jungkook exhaled sharply. So he gets to sit backstage and act like nothing happened. Like we didn't ruin this. Jimin looked down. I'm not going back out there, Jungkook said. Not until I figure out who the hell I am without you. The door burst open then. Manager, staff, Namjoon, Taehyung. Jimin stood quickly, wiping his face, but it was no use. They all saw. Namjoon's face darkened. What the hell is going on? Taehyung looked between them, lips parted, like he was piecing together a puzzle too painful to finish. Jungkook stood slowly, picking up his jacket. You'll find out soon enough. And then, without a glance back, he walked past all of them. The hallway swallowed him whole. Jimin remained frozen in place, the walls pressing in, the silence deafening. He didn't realize he was bleeding, his fingernails digging into his palm so deep they'd broken skin. And he didn't care. Because everything that mattered was already gone. The interrogation room wasn't supposed to exist. Not for idols, not for superstars, not for people like them. And yet here they were, 6 folding chairs, 1 round table, and silence thick enough to shatter glass. Yoongi sat with his arms crossed, eyes dark under the overhead light, like he hadn't slept in days. Or didn't need to. His expression unreadable, a mask forged over years of carefully controlled emotion. Across from him, Namjoon paced, calm but boiling just under the surface. He held a clipboard, though everyone knew it was empty. There was no script for what was happening, no rehearsals, just raw consequences. Jimin was the last to enter. The others had already arrived, Taehyung, Hoseok, Seokjin. Jungkook was notably absent, his chair untouched, turned slightly askew like he might have been there once and fled. Jimin's steps were hesitant, like each one might trigger a landmine. His hoodie was the same one he wore last night, sleeves pulled over trembling hands. No makeup, no mask, just red eyes, swollen from too many hours of crying and not enough sleep. Namjoon's voice sliced through the quiet. "Sit down." Jimin obeyed. "You're going to tell us everything," Namjoon said, no longer leader mode, no longer patient. This was a man cornered, holding together a group teetering on the edge of collapse. Yoongi didn't move. Taehyung looked at Jimin like he was trying to recognize someone in a stranger's face. Hoseok sat in silence, unreadable, for once not trying to lighten the mood. Even Jin, the eldest, had nothing to say, just folded arms and a sharp jawline set in disappointment. Jimin opened his mouth, closed it. Namjoon slammed the clipboard down. "Now, Jimin." "I didn't mean to lie," Jimin started, voice hoarse. "Stop," Yoongi said quietly. "Don't start with that." Jimin flinched. "Start with the truth," Yoongi continued. "No excuses, no tears, just say it." Jimin swallowed hard. "It started during the Osaka leg of the tour." Taehyung's head snapped up. "I was unraveling," Jimin said. "My anxiety was getting worse, I was hiding it. Jungkook was distracted. He was dealing with the stalker threats, the sleepwalking again, the insomnia. I didn't want to burden him." "So you went to Yoongi?" Jin asked coldly. Jimin glanced at Yoongi. He noticed. He was there, he talked to me, it felt safe. "Is that what you called it?" Taehyung said, voice sharp. "Safe, you slept with him." Jimin's face contorted. "It wasn't like that." "Yes, it was," Yoongi said flatly. Everyone turned. Yoongi stared forward, eyes empty. "It was exactly like that. You came to my room, you kissed me first." "I was drunk," Jimin snapped. "So was I," Yoongi said. "But you knew what you were doing, we both did." Namjoon's chair scraped as he sat down. "How many times?" Jimin looked at him, pleading. "Don't." "How many, Jimin?" "Twice," he whispered. "3 if you count." "Don't," Taehyung stood up. "Don't count, don't explain, just stop." Yoongi's voice dropped to something almost sorrowful. "He always came to me. I never went to him. You want to make me the villain? Fine, but I didn't chase him." Jimin was trembling now. "I told you to stop the second time." "You told me to stop," Yoongi cut in, "but not before." "Why are you saying it like that?" Jimin's voice rose. "Like I wanted it, like I planned this." "You didn't stop," Yoongi said. "That's all I know." Namjoon looked like he might throw something. "This isn't about guilt anymore. This is about damage control. We are a group, an empire. Do you know how fast this could end us?" Seokjin finally spoke, calm but deadly. "It already is." The silence that followed was worse than shouting. Jimin's breathing was uneven now, chest rising and falling too fast. "I didn't want any of this," he whispered. "I just wanted to feel like myself again. Jungkook was so distant, and Yoongi, he didn't look at me like I was broken." "You were," Taehyung said. Jimin turned to him, eyes pleading. Then why didn't anyone say anything? Because we thought you'd find your way back, Taehyung said. We trusted you, he trusted you. Yoongi stood then. Enough. Namjoon snapped his head toward him. You don't get to call that. I'm done being the quiet one, Yoongi said. You all think I'm the monster here, right? Fine, but this didn't happen in a vacuum. We're all guilty. Speak for yourself, Hoseok muttered. I am, Yoongi said. I betrayed a brother. I let my guard down. I blurred the lines. But don't pretend this group hasn't been breaking long before this happened. We've been patching holes with duct tape for years. Not like this, Seokjin said. Yoongi laughed bitterly. No, this time the tape peeled off. He turned to Jimin. Tell them about the voicemail. Jimin shook his head violently. Don't. Yoongi's voice turned cold. Tell them you begged me not to tell Jungkook. Jimin's face crumpled. I didn't want to lose him, he said through tears. I didn't know what to do. You chose silence, Yoongi said, and that's what killed him. The door opened again. They all looked. Jungkook stood in the frame. His face was unreadable, clean, no tears, no anger, just hollow. Yoongi straightened, but said nothing. Jungkook stepped in slowly, shutting the door behind him. The room turned to stone. I heard everything, he said. Jimin stood too fast, stumbling forward. Please, just let me explain. Jungkook raised a hand. Don't. His voice was soft, deadly. I don't want your explanation. I don't need it. I lived it. Jimin froze mid-step. I came to say one thing, Jungkook said, voice unwavering. This group deserves better. The fans deserve better. So I'll finish the tour. I'll smile, I'll sing, I'll perform. His gaze burned through Jimin. But when it ends, so do we. Jimin collapsed back into the chair. Jungkook turned to Yoongi. And you? Yoongi's chin rose slightly. I don't hate you, Jungkook said, but I can't look at you anymore. And then he walked out. And this time, no one stopped him. The rain started the moment Jungkook walked out of the building. It was as if the universe had been waiting for him to make that final declaration. When the tour ends, so do we, before deciding to cry with him. But Jungkook didn't cry. Not this time. His tears had dried out somewhere between the 5th betrayal and the 1000th replay of Jimin's voice in his head. He walked through the alley behind the venue, the screams of fans muffled by concrete walls and security fences. He walked like a ghost, unnoticed, uncaring. He didn't know where he was going. He just knew he couldn't stay there. Not in that room, not near them. His phone buzzed. He didn't look at it. He walked until the noise faded, until the rain soaked through his hoodie and made his skin sting, until his legs ached from the weight of everything he was trying not to feel. He found a service staircase and sat on the 4th step, alone with the thunder. Then he checked his phone. 12 missed calls, 4 from Namjoon, 1 from his manager, 7 from Jimin, the last one from Taehyung. He stared at the name for a long moment, then picked up as it rang again. Kook, Taehyung's voice was shaky. Where are you? Please talk to me. I don't know, Jungkook said honestly. Somewhere I don't have to hear anyone lie. There was a pause. I didn't lie. I know, Jungkook said, staring at the rain. That's why I answered. Another silence. Taehyung exhaled. This isn't survivable if we fracture. We're already fractured, Jungkook whispered. You saw it. You're hurt. I get it. But if we all walk away now, we let this define us. Jungkook closed his eyes. I'm not walking away from us, T. I'm walking away from him. Taehyung was quiet. He's not okay. Neither am I. Back at the venue, Jimin was in the dressing room, staring at his reflection like it was a crime scene. Yoongi was gone. Namjoon had sent him away after a silent standoff. No yelling, no punches, just a silent command, a nod toward the door, and Yoongi left without a word. There would be other conversations, legal ones, contractual ones, but not tonight. Jimin sat alone, the walls of the room spinning. Seokjin stood in the corner, arms crossed, watching him like someone forced to guard a traitor. What do you want me to say? Jimin finally asked, voice dead. I don't want anything from you, Seokjin said. I'm trying not to lose my temper. I didn't plan this. I never wanted to hurt him. You hurt all of us, Jin snapped. This isn't just about Jungkook. Do you think we're unaffected? Do you think this doesn't tear everything we built to shreds? I didn't mean to. Stop using that line, Seokjin's voice rose. You're not some child who wandered into a mistake. You're a grown man who made decisions, over and over, with full awareness. Jimin's eyes filled again. I hate myself, Jin. Good, Jin said, because we don't have the energy left to do it for you. Jimin collapsed inward. Taehyung stepped in then, soaked from the rain, breathless. He's near the back stairs, he said. He's not coming in. Good, Jin muttered. Let him breathe. I'm going to him, Taehyung said. No, Jin stood up. Let him be alone. Jin. He needs space, not more words, Jin said firmly. And you need to choose what the hell you want, Jimin. You can't keep holding this group hostage with your guilt. Jimin looked up slowly. I want to fix it. Too late for that, Jin said. The only thing left to decide is how we burn. Taehyung watched Jimin fall apart again, but this time didn't step forward. There were no arms to offer, no words to give, only gravity. That night, the company released a statement. Due to unforeseen medical emergencies, the concert has been postponed. The members are currently recovering and will reconvene after a short hiatus. The lie was elegant, sanitized, perfect. Social media didn't buy it. Jungkook left the stay. Jimin under the stay. Yoongi knew. Rumors spread like gasoline. Fans divided like civil war, some defending, some accusing, all heartbroken. Fan accounts pulled video frames, enhancing the shadows beneath the stage, slowing down footage, catching glimpses of Jimin's form, crouched and broken, his face wet with tears. One video captured the exact second Jungkook saw him. The moment his voice died. It went viral. The storm outside was nothing compared to the one inside. Later that night, in a private hotel suite, Jungkook stood at the window, watching the city blur through rain-streaked glass. He hadn't spoken in hours. Taehyung sat behind him, cross-legged on the floor, a glass of untouched water in his hand. Do you remember the rooftop in Busan? Taehyung asked suddenly. Jungkook nodded once. You made me promise, Taehyung said, that if anything ever tore us apart, I'd fight for you before I fought anyone else. I remember. This is me fighting. Jungkook turned. His face was tired but not cruel. Why does it feel like the person I loved died? Taehyung didn't answer. Because maybe he had. Jimin was in his hotel room alone, phone off, curtains drawn. A bottle of sleeping pills sat on the nightstand, prescribed. Legal. Tempting. He stared at them for hours, until the line between thought and action blurred. Then the door burst open. Namjoon. You really want to add death to your legacy now, he snapped. Jimin looked up, startled. I wasn't. Don't lie to me, Namjoon said, voice shaking. You've done enough of that. I wasn't going to take them, Jimin whispered. Namjoon stepped forward, grabbed the bottle and threw it across the room. It shattered. Jimin burst into tears. Namjoon knelt down, grabbed his shoulders. We're not done, you're not done. But if you ever scare me like that again, I will walk away and not even look back. Jimin nodded, sobbing. Namjoon pulled him into a hug, rough, desperate. No words, just breathing. Everything else was broken. But for now, they were still alive. It happened at 3:17 a.m. A file. Anonymous. No context. Just a Dropbox link tweeted from a burner account that disappeared minutes later. But it didn't matter. It was already out there. The title read, Truth Behind the Curtain, BTS 2026 Tour Scandal, Audio Evidence. The audio was unfiltered. 23 minutes long. A conversation, recorded without consent, between Jimin and Yoongi. Heavy breathing. Glass clinking. A hotel room. Then Yoongi's voice, hushed, ragged. You know this is going to destroy him. Jimin, he can't know, not yet, I can't lose him. Yoongi, you already did. The rest was worse. By 4 a.m., hashtags were trending in 37 countries. BTS scandal. Yoongi Jimin truth. Protect Jungkook. Kick them out. The internet had become a courtroom. When the manager called Namjoon to tell him the leak was real, his only response was a muttered shit, followed by the sound of something shattering on the other end of the line. Seokjin was the first to arrive at the emergency meeting. He wore no disguise, no mask. He walked through the building like he had nothing left to hide. Jungkook showed up second, still silent, still unreadable, but this time he brought his lawyer. Jimin arrived last. Face pale, lips trembling, hoodie pulled up to hide the fact that he hadn't slept, or that he'd barely survived the night. Yoongi didn't come. I'll handle him, Namjoon said grimly, packing the war room as the legal team assembled papers no one wanted to read. Jimin sat down but didn't speak. Jungkook remained standing, arms crossed, eyes on the wall. His silence was louder than anyone's voice. The lawyer, Ms. Han, opened a folder and laid it flat. As of this morning, public trust is fractured. Our legal exposure is severe, and HYBE wants a resolution before the next concert in Tokyo. What kind of resolution? Jin asked sharply. They want Jimin to step back, at least temporarily. The room was ice. No, Taehyung said. It's not up for debate, Han replied. It's either that, or this escalates into breach of contract lawsuits, potential removal of sponsors, and civil suits from fan unions. You're talking about exile, Jin said. We're talking about damage control, Han clarified. Namjoon turned to Jimin. You have to do it, for all of us. Jimin nodded, voice hoarse. I understand. Jungkook finally looked at him. Just a glance, but it held the weight of years. You knew someone recorded it, he asked coldly. Jimin's head snapped up. What? That night, Jungkook said, stepping closer. The audio, you knew you were being recorded. No, Jimin said, eyes wide. No, never, I swear. Then why were you whispering like it was a confession booth? Jungkook snapped. Jimin's lips parted. Because I was terrified. Of me? No, of losing you. You already did, Jungkook shouted. The room flinched. Taehyung stepped between them, hands raised. Enough, Namjoon said sharply. This isn't helping. But Jungkook wasn't finished. You know what hurts the most? Not the cheating, not the lies. It's that I would have forgiven you if you just told me yourself. Jimin broke. I was going to. No, Jungkook hissed. You waited. You chose the stage, the cameras. You chose to let me sing to you while you cried in the shadows like a coward. Jimin fell silent, tears slipping soundlessly. Jungkook's voice cracked. I was in love with you. I still am, Jimin whispered. Don't, Jungkook stepped back like the word burned. Don't you dare say that to me. Namjoon ran a hand through his hair. We need to move forward. Jimin, you're taking a hiatus, effective immediately. We'll draft a statement. And what about Yoongi? Jin asked, arms crossed. He's going on medical leave, Han answered. Taehyung laughed bitterly. Of course, wrap it in a bow, make it look clean. Jungkook's phone buzzed. A message, when he wasn't expecting. From unknown number. You don't know the whole story. Meet me. Rooftop, 15 minutes. He stared at it, then walked out without a word. 15 minutes later, the door to the rooftop clicked open. Wind hit him first, then silence, then her. She wasn't supposed to be here. Minseo. A stylist. Former staff. Yoongi's ex. What are you doing here? Jungkook asked. She looked nervous, hands deep in her coat pockets. I know who leaked the audio, she said. He froze. Her voice shook. It wasn't a hacker, it was Yoongi. It was someone inside. Who? Jungkook asked, heart pounding. She hesitated. You're not going to like the answer. Say it. She looked him in the eye. Manager Park. Jungkook staggered. She continued, voice trembling. He found out about Jimin and Yoongi months ago, tried to cover it up. But when he realized Jimin wasn't going to stay with Yoongi, he wanted revenge. So he started recording, waiting. Jungkook stared at her, a storm behind his eyes. Why are you telling me this? He asked. Because you deserve the truth, she said. And because someone has to stop this before it kills all of you. Far below, the city kept moving. And on that rooftop, everything changed again. Because now, the betrayal wasn't just between lovers. It was inside the very walls they thought were protecting them. And nothing was sacred anymore. The soundproof walls of HYB's executive floor couldn't contain the chaos anymore. Inside conference room 9B, the silence was deceptive, sharpened like a blade, waiting to cut. Jungkook sat at the end of the long glass table, fists clenched in his lap. His phone was face down, the screen cracked from how hard he'd thrown it earlier. Across from him, Namjoon paced with the slow, calculated fury of a man trying not to detonate. Taehyung was next to Jungkook, legs bouncing restlessly, a storm trapped in denim and designer rage. Jin leaned back in his chair, arms folded, watching everyone like a hawk dissecting its prey. Hoseok hadn't said a word since entering. He just stared at the empty chair across the room, the chair where Manager Park was supposed to sit. The door finally opened. Manager Park entered without apology. No apology, no explanation, just a smile that didn't reach his eyes and a leather folder tucked beneath his arm. Good morning, he said casually. Namjoon stopped packing. You think this is a good morning? Park shrugged. Could have been worse. Jungkook stood so fast his chair scraped like a scream. You leaked the audio. The manager's face didn't change. I released the truth. You betrayed your artists, Namjoon said. Park opened the folder. I protected a legacy. The story was going to break one way or another. At least now, we control the narrative. Jin stood. You call that control? The fandom is on fire. Yoongi's being crucified. Jimin's receiving death threats. And Jungkook. Jungkook, Park interrupted, has never been more relevant. Jungkook's eyes narrowed. You're using my pain as a PR strategy. I'm saving your career, Park replied. Taehyung slammed his palm on the table. You're not saving anyone. You're burning us alive and smiling while it happens. I did what had to be done, Park said. No, Jungkook said, voice low. You did what made you feel powerful. Park leaned forward. You want power, Jungkook. You already have it. You just don't know how to use it yet. Namjoon moved between them. We're done here. No, Park said. You're not until you understand what's at stake. He dropped the folder on the table. Photos spilled out. Documents, screenshots, contracts. Every sponsor, every label, every handshake we've made in the past decade is watching. If we show weakness now, we lose everything. The tour, the brand, the name. So your solution is sacrificing Jimin? Jin asked. Bleed him out so the rest of us look clean. Sometimes a limb has to be cut to save the body, Park said. Jungkook walked over slowly, picked up one of the photos, a candid of him and Jimin during rehearsals last year, laughing, unaware of the camera. There was something painfully innocent about it. He crushed it in his fist. You said you care about our legacy, Jungkook said, but you forgot something. Park raised a brow. We are the legacy. Jungkook looked around. You think they'll remember your name, Manager Park? 10 years from now, 20. No one chants for you in stadiums. They chant for us. Not if you self-destruct, Park said. And that's exactly what you're doing. Namjoon stepped forward. We're removing you. Park blinked. What? You're fired, Jin added. Effective immediately. You can't fire me, Park scoffed. We already did, Namjoon said. Your badge was revoked 30 minutes ago. Park's face went pale. The board approved it after the legal team found proof of the leak, Jin said. You used your clearance to access the studio backups. You edited the file. You timed the release. "You're finished." For the first time, Manager Park looked afraid. Security entered behind him. He turned to Jungkook. "You'll regret this." "No," Jungkook said, stepping aside as they escorted the man out. "I already regret not doing it sooner." The door shut. The silence after was deeper. The room felt lighter but haunted. Taehyung exhaled shakily. "What now?" Jungkook looked at him. "Now we clean up." Across the city, Jimin sat alone in a hotel suite under pseudonym reservation. The windows were blacked out. He hadn't been online since the leak. His phone remained off. The only sound in the room was the low hum of the AC and the storm outside, mimicking the one in his chest. Then a knock. He didn't answer. Another knock. He stood slowly, opened the door. "Yoongi." They stared at each other. "You shouldn't be here," Jimin said, voice raw. Yoongi looked like hell. He hadn't shaved. His eyes were red. His usual calm was replaced by something unsteady. "I came to say goodbye," he said. Jimin's heart sank. "You're leaving." Yoongi nodded. "I signed the release. I'm not part of the group anymore." Jimin stepped back like he'd been struck. "I had to," Yoongi said. "They needed someone to blame, someone big enough to bury the rest of it." "No," Jimin whispered. "No, this isn't right." "I didn't come for a rescue," Yoongi said. "I came to give you this." He handed Jimin a small flash drive. Jimin looked at it. "What is this?" "The original recording," Yoongi said. "Uncut, untouched. You didn't say what people think you said. The file was edited to make you look worse." Jimin shook his head slowly. "Why didn't you tell them?" Yoongi smiled sadly. "Because I stopped trying to defend myself the moment I realized no one wanted to believe me." Jimin's hands shook. "I don't want you to go." "You already let me go," Yoongi said gently. "Now it's your turn to forgive yourself." He turned and walked down the hall. Jimin called after him, "Yoongi." Yoongi stopped but didn't turn around. "I'm sorry," Jimin said, voice breaking, "for everything." Yoongi nodded once, then disappeared into the elevator. Jimin looked at the flash drive in his palm like it weighed 1,000 pounds. And somewhere deep inside, something shifted. Not healed, not whole, but maybe ready to begin again. Even if everything burned first. The Tokyo Dome was a heartbeat away from eruption. 70,000 fans held their collective breath as the lights dimmed to black, the intro video fading with a crackle of white noise. The screens went dark, then silence. A single spotlight snapped on. Jungkook stood center stage, bathed in a pale glow. No background dancers, no flashing visuals, no distractions. Just him. He was dressed simply, black shirt, dark jeans, hair wet from backstage prep. But it was the look in his eyes that told the story. Not rage, not sorrow, something deeper, weathered, solid, unbreakable. The crowd began to scream, but Jungkook raised a hand. And they quieted. "I know you've heard everything," he said into the mic. His voice was calm, clear, brutally honest. "And for once I won't sing first, I'll speak." The stadium held its breath again. A lot has happened. Some of it's true, some of it's twisted, and some of it should have never been anyone's business but ours. He glanced behind him, at the darkened stage where, for years, 6 other men once stood beside him. For the first time, it was just him out front. "I loved someone who hurt me," he continued. "But I also loved a group that saved me, and a family that stood by me when I couldn't stand at all." The crowd erupted into cheers, cries, chants of his name. "But I'm not here to ask for pity or to throw anyone under the bus. I'm here to sing, one last time, as part of this chapter." He turned, gave a small nod. The lights flared. And one by one, they walked on stage. Taehyung first, head bowed, face calm. Jin and Hoseok followed, hand in hand like pillars keeping the roof from falling. Then Namjoon, eyes glistening, every step defiant. They formed a line behind Jungkook. But the screams grew deafening when Jimin walked into the light. No hoodie, no disguise, no more hiding. He wore white, clean, open. He took his place beside Jungkook, but not too close, respectful of the space between apology and forgiveness. The crowd went silent again. Jungkook turned to face the others. For a breathless second, he just looked at Jimin. And nodded. Music began. It wasn't a hit single. It was new, a stripped acoustic ballad no one had heard before. Jungkook's voice opened it, soft and raw. I thought silence would keep me safe. But it only echoed louder than the lies. Jimin's voice joined next, tentative at first. I thought loving you was the end of me. But maybe it's where I begin again. The song bled with everything left unsaid. It was not a reconciliation, not a surrender. It was a release. A goodbye. A thank you. A letting go. By the final chorus, the entire group sang shoulder to shoulder. Not perfectly aligned, not perfectly healed, but present, alive, together even if just for this final note. As the last chord faded, the crowd stood in stunned silence. Then, a thunderstorm of applause. Jungkook stepped forward, mic trembling slightly. No encore, he said. No promises. He looked at the crowd, millions of glowing light sticks dancing like stars. Just love for whatever comes next. He bowed, deep, honest, the others followed. Then the lights went out. Backstage, as the noise dimmed into memory, the members stood in the hallway, breathless. None of them spoke at first, not even Jimin. Finally, Jungkook turned to him. Their eyes met. No anger, no apology, just mutual recognition of everything they'd survived. You did good, Jungkook said softly. Jimin's throat tightened. Thank you for letting me be there. Jungkook nodded once. Take care of yourself. You too. Namjoon broke the silence with a heavy sigh. That's it then. No, Jin said, stretching his arms. That's the end of that story, not ours. Taehyung smiled faintly. Let's not meet again at a press conference next time. They laughed, real tired and almost free. Jungkook walked out of the venue alone. No cameras, no fans. Just the rain again. But this time, he didn't run from it. He let it fall, washing away everything that clung to him like ash. Behind him, the echoes of their song faded into legend. And in front of him, a city waited, new, open, unknown. He walked into it, heart no longer broken. Just scarred and still beating.